I told my gay brother he was going to hell for being gay, which was really strange because when he first came out to me, I was cool with it. However, in between him coming out and me telling him that he was going to hell, something massive happened in my life. I found religion. I became a Christian, and once I joined the ranks of other Christians, I was indoctrinated into all the aspects of churchianity. I have my Bible, I have my Christian radio station, and I was a jerk. I honestly didn't know anything theologically about LGBTQ people, but the one thing that I did know was this: Christians weren't too fond of the gay people. So when my brother came to me one night to ask me what my faith thought of people like him, I told him, if ever there were a definition of much zeal and little knowledge, that was me. This was my best friend since birth. We shared a room together. We rode together in high school. My religion made me treat him like a second-class citizen who would suffer eternal consequences solely because of who he was. It wasn't my proudest moment in life. I thought I was speaking the truth in love, and I have to say today that what I told him, one, wasn't truth, and two, it was about the furthest thing from loving that I could get. Welcome to this latest edition of Thoughtful Thursdays, where I take a look at the important issues both inside and outside the church. We just got done looking at women, misogyny in the Bible, and I figured, oh, what the heck, while we were taking on such easy topics, I thought we might as well look at the topic of LGBTQ people and the church. I have been pastoring for about 14 years within the evangelical church, and let's be honest, brutally honest about the church. We get things wrong a lot. Throughout history, we have gotten it wrong many times. If we look back through the rearview mirror of our history, we will see that the church seemingly always needs a group of people to be against. Be that Jewish people in Spain, or Muslims in the Holy Land, or scientists and astronomers, black people, women, and in each iteration of the church, every single people group that the church is against is fully justified by their key verses within the Bible. Think about it. We read Paul in the Hebrew Scriptures, the Old Testament, to justify that women are supposed to submit to men and can't be leaders over men. People in the church justified slavery by once again quoting Paul in the Hebrew Scriptures. Christians use the Bible to justify that Jewish people were Christ killers. And for Muslims, well, the church still needs a little bit of work on that one. A lot of Islamophobia is found in the church today. For every group, the church had their beloved Bible verses. They justified their beliefs, and then they found Bible verses that agreed with their prejudices. Friends, I was wrong about my brother. I used the Bible as a weapon to attack him. And I believe that we have been wrong inside the church to weaponize the Bible against any group of people. We must do better. This is probably the biggest stumbling block that I run into whenever I talk with my friends about why they don't want to be a part of a church. However, I can stand here today and state that I didn't always think like this. I know that there is room for people to grow and change. I invite you on a journey with me as we look at the actual Bible verses that have been used time and time again to attack LGBTQ people in the past. Today I'm working with the hypothesis that in no part of the scriptures do we find verses that condemn modern day loving, consensual, and monogamous same-sex relationships. Now, don't get me wrong. I do think the scriptures are pretty clear about certain acts within the Bible. I just don't think that those certain acts are for all time in history. Rather, that each section of the Bible was used in a very specific time, in a very specific setting, to condemn a very specific action. The story of Sodom and Gomorrah is oft quoted as a passage that condemns homosexuality. So much so that the term sodomy and sodomite come from the pages of the Bible. However, let's go back to my hypothesis. Is it really condemning of modern day loving, consensual, and same-sex relations? Or is it possibly condemning of something entirely different? The story starts out with two angels that wander into the town of Sodom, and they are going to spend the night in the town square, but an old man named Lot comes out to tell them that it's far too dangerous for them to sleep in the square at night, and that they should come to his house for protection. And we'll pick up reading there out of Genesis 19. Before they had gone to bed, all the men from every part of the city of Sodom, both young and old, surrounded the house. They called to Lot, "Where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out to us so that we can have sex with them." And Lot went outside to meet them and shut the door behind him. And he said, "No, my friends, don't do this wicked thing. Look, I have 2 daughters who have never slept with a man. Let me bring them out to you, and you can do what you like with them. But don't do anything to these men, for they have come under the protection of my roof." Wow, that is literally the exact same story we read last week, which happened in another town called Gibeah, about a Levite and his concubine. And think about it. This group arrives in the city. An old man comes to the town square to escort them to his house for protection because the town is too unsafe. And then at night, a mob of men from all throughout the city come to the door wanting to have sex with the guest. Literally, it is the exact same premise. So the church has somehow used these verses to condemn homosexuality? That's odd. At the end of the story, Lot and his family are told to flee the city, and the angels then destroy the city for its wickedness. Inside the church, the takeaway message from these verses is, see, God detests LGBTQ people so much so that he destroyed them all. Is that really what's happening here? Are these Bible verses against modern day loving, consensual, monogamous, same-sex relationships? I think we have to answer that question from 2 approaches. One, what happened in this mirror image story of Gibeah when they pushed the concubine out the door? Did the men of the town go, "Ew, no, we told you we wanted the man"? Eggplant emojis, not tacos. Gross. Take this woman back and give us the man. We are gay. Why would you give us a woman? Is that what they said? Hardly. They abused her all night long. And I think we have to look at it from a second opinion too. We must look at the action from the men in the story. Do you think they showed up to Lot's door looking all kinds of nervous with chocolates and roses? Did they have teddy bears and love letters? Were they wearing their best rainbow bow tie? Did they stumble over their speech because they were so nervous? No, of course not. Come on. This is a no-brainer. Sodom was not about modern day loving, consensual, same-sex relationships in the slightest. These men of the town wanted to gang rape whatever came out of that house, be it man or woman. Rape is not about sexuality. It is about power. It is about dominance. It is about violence and abuse. Honestly, how could anyone use these verses to condemn and attack beautiful humans is beyond me. I just don't get it. Many theologians today look at the sin of Sodom as being a lack of hospitality. And I'm like, yeah, you think? Hashtag understatement of the year. Did you know that the Bible actually tells us what the sin of Sodom was? I know, hard to believe, right? We read this right out of the prophet Ezekiel in the Hebrew Scriptures. Now, this was the sin of your sister Sodom. She and her daughters were arrogant, overfed, and unconcerned. They did not help the poor and the needy. We in the church have spent so much time railing on homosexuality from within the church and from the pulpit. We have taught our congregants what to believe and what to say. We have mistreated people. We have pushed countless people away from faith to uphold this belief. And we have used this story to do so. And it turns out that it wasn't about homosexuality the entire time. We must not continue in that tradition. We can do better. Now, to come full circle, I've made amends with my brother. I have cried with him. I've told him how sorry I was for using a book that's all about God's enormous love for all people to instead attack a group of people. Belief in Jesus does not necessitate me to believe that Sodom was about modern day homosexuality. It isn't central to my faith, and it doesn't work for my generation anymore. I was wrong. I committed a long time ago to use my voice of influence and position in society to help the church make it through this transition. It was a hard journey to apologize, to admit to being wrong about something that I so thought I was right about. To completely turn around, we call that repentance within the church, and to start fighting on behalf of the very people that I had attacked before. This is where we need to go, church. I promise you that it leads to a beautiful tomorrow and a relevant church of the future. I went on that journey a long time ago, and I hope you'll continue to go on that journey with me next week as we move a bit further into the Bible to a section of the law that is called Leviticus. It's gonna be fun. You won't want to miss out. And to quote the Flintstones, we'll have a gay old time. Kyle Benefield, you stop that right now. Make sure you subscribe, and we'll see you back next week, same time, same place.